Good evening and welcome back. I am so happy to be back in the studio again. It's been a minute. I had to take a sabbatical. But anyway, welcome to Nurturing Our Roots. Our history, our story, our legacy is full of so many rich stories that we have yet to explore. But this afternoon, I'm going to be talking to Nicholas Mutes about the farm life. I am a descendant of farmers and very proud of my roots. And I just want to welcome my guest tonight to talk about what it is that he do and his family connections to all this. Hello, Nicholas, and welcome to the segment tonight. How are you?
Good. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I am doing fine, but let me just make this announcement first. I am having technical difficulties with my internet service. If you lose me, just keep on going until I get back, all right? How you doing this
All right.
afternoon?
I'm doing pretty well.
Nicholas, I want to start off. I have a few questions. What is the mission of an assistant agent, area agent, ANR?
I would say our mission as area agents is basically to educate the community in which we work on how to better equip themselves with the knowledge of agriculture and not just the knowledge of farming or growing, but just the overall aspect of agriculture and just how it deals with everything day to day, whether that be people, animals, food, money, or just normal essentials. And so what our jobs are is to be in the community, be in the parish, and just simply educate youth and adults with with different practices such as sessions and classes or even just home visits about how they can better their practices on their farm or even how they can be interested in the classroom
Mhm.
and
Now,
just all aspects.
what parishes do you serve?
I serve St. Helena Parish and Tangipahoa Parish.
Mhm. Are there a lot of young people like yourself that's getting involved with agriculture studies?
Yes, ma'am. I would say through my matriculation in college, there were a good few of us who had a very strong grasp for agriculture, just wanting to help others.
And how now I know that you come from a long lineage of farmers, but how did and how did you choose this? I know that it's something in the family, but being a young man and most of the time people try to and sometimes deviate away from what their family is known for. What made you choose this career?
I would honestly have to give that praise to the Southern Ag Center because um, when I was in high school, I had a pathway that was media and pictures and videography, and it was a I had like a mass comm route I was going towards college, but when I heard about the Bayou program at Southern University, I was interested because my brother went through it and he never talked much about what it was. But the Bayou program overall gave those high school students from 11th and 12th grade the opportunity to really get their hands on over the summer in the agriculture college at Southern University. And so when I did that program, my summer going into my freshman year, it kind of just clicked for me that this is very important. And
Hmm.
and finances will always be important. Math will always be important. Engineering will always be important. But agriculture will never go away. It'll never go away. And so that's what kind of got me interested in it. And as I studied through the years of school, I just realized more and more of how important it was to help other people know how important this was. And so that's kind of how I got into agriculture.
Hmm. Now, but your father and your uncles, your grandparents, they was all into agriculture. They grew up on the farm.
Yes, ma'am. It was different for me, coming out of Stone Mountain, Georgia, my whole life, coming down to Louisiana, and then working on a fully functional farm. It was just a culture change, but my love for agriculture, it just kind of shifted me in a way that everything felt second nature. The animals, the plants, the heat, just the work ethic.
You all had a lot of great programs over the summer, this summer for children. Lots of day camps that, camps that was visiting. And so that was really inspiring to see that. Now, when you came down from
Stone
Georgia,
Mountain,
yes, Stony Mountain, Georgia,
yes, ma'am.
did you work on the farm in the summer with your family members? No?
No, ma'am. So with a farm, with the family farm, it was always just a project that my parents had thought about. And growing up, my dad would always take me down to Louisiana. He'd always surround me around the Southern University campus and the atmosphere. But at that time, we didn't have the farm. It was all still timberland. And so once I started my freshman year in college, that's when it was like hit the ground running. I'm down at Southern. My dad is about to retire. Everything just kind of fell into place, and then that's when the year of COVID we finally moved down here. And so no, I never had any prior training, any experience on the farm before. No.
So you actually you saw it from the timberland to where it is right now.
Yes, ma'am. It would be incredible if I or anyone ever thought to just take pictures of before and after. It was nothing but forest and timberland, and driving through Muse Road, you would never stop to look over and say, maybe one day that'll be farmland. No.
But it really happened in your lifetime to see, to go from the forestry to what it is right now. It's so beautiful.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm. So you go around to through Tangipahoa Parish and St. Helena Parish, educating farmers and those that inspire to be farmers about what's out there, what's available to them.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about that. What is available?
Well, on a day-to-day basis, I will get questions from farmers and other producers just about their practices and what's going on, or even just how to start. Some might call me about a fern that's been growing in their garden and how they can get rid of it, or is it harmful or is it just harmless? And so what I'll do is get back to them with that information, or someone may call me saying, "Hey, Mr. Muse, I am interested in gardening. Where do I start?" And I could just simply tell them just off my knowledge from a home gardening class at school. First thing you got to do if you're thinking about on a wide scale, might want to till you some land, might want to make you a garden area. If not, you can get you a container garden. That takes about 5 minutes to assemble. First thing you'll need is some soil, and if you need some seeds, I can provide you with some seeds. And then I'll just walk them through the process about taking your pinky, making a little hole, sprinkling down the seed in there, watering it occasionally. Make sure you get a good source of rainwater. Rainwater helps grow a lot better than filtered water. And I just walk them through that day to day. I also contact people on where they can find these supplies that they need. I call around most of these co-ops and these tractor stores, and I have a good relationship with them. They might call me and say, "Hey, Mr. Muse, we just got a shipment in of these new shovels or these new water meters," and so I might call the people who need one.
That's great. That's great. When I was a child and I grew up in Amite, Louisiana, my family had 20 acres. And by that time, my grandfather was deceased, but my great uncle and other relatives would farm. And so I was just hooked from that point on, and now I have my own garden, and just tasting, tasting the difference between what comes out of my garden and my garden is organic. It is totally different than what you can buy in a store. So from the garden to the table, that's my mission. That's my mission. Can you talk about the event that you all have coming up on July the 24th?
So on July 24th, I, for my first time, will be hosting St. Helena Ag Day. and it's overall a grand scale of agriculture just across the board. Usually, these past ag days have been permanently on a working farm, and so I want the farm aspect there, but I don't want the whole day to be simply about farming because agriculture is more than just farming. On
Mm-hmm.
this day, we'll have livestock animals, and we'll have people who give demonstrations about proper ways to bottle feed, proper ways to give medicine to these livestock animals. We'll also have a drone demonstration. This drone demonstration can simply serve a technological way on how you can just overlook your farm from your house if you're away, if you have someone running it. And so you don't want to just walk outside in the heat and just walk for hours. This is for people, who
Mm-hmm.
want to go that technological route or just don't want to be outside. We'll also have insect identification for the youth. That should be a fun demonstration just to show them the different types of insects. I know most kids would think all insects and bugs are bad, but we need most of them. Also, from
Pollinate.
yeah, definitely. Also, we'll be doing garden demonstrations on simply how to start your own garden. We'll be having professors talk about how to start from container gardening to potentially putting what you grew in the containers into your bigger garden or your raised beds. We'll also be having the NRCS people and the FSA people come talk about those loans and come talk about programs that NRCS has to offer for those farmers who are interested in starting a program with them. And it should just be a whole bunch of fun across the board for youth to learn something and to have fun with, and adults to walk away with something on how
Mm-hmm.
they can either start something new or help themselves. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just agriculture across the board. We'll also have a food giveaway that day from the SU Ag Center, and we'll also have lunch that day, and it should just be a lot of fun.
So that'll be fresh vegetables that you all will be giving away.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's really nice. I'm going to just go to the next slide. This is Muse 3 Farm. This is your family farm. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, ma'am. I would say Muse 3 Farm is it's something completely new to our family as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if anyone ever thought of my dad and my uncle and my other uncles just coming together and just making a farm. I mean, they all come from different backgrounds of
Different
education. One
careers,
was a
yes.
Yeah, one was an engineer his entire life. One was a computer guru his entire life, worked for IBM. Another one has the knowledge, works for NRCS, and the other one a preacher most of his life. And so when you put all those components together, it kind of makes you scratch your head. But
Yeah.
it
And now they're
it
adding you on, so you're an
yeah.
extension of that, which is great because you have a lot to bring to the table and offer yourself to be able to elevate it to a different level.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
And I try to bring them newer technology and easier ways to equip themselves and do things.
I knew you
But
would because that's and I like that technology is being incorporated into farming. Something you said previously earlier, you said that if there was only some photographs that can show where you come from to now, I can't begin to tell you how many times I really wish that I would have had photographs of my great uncle plying behind the mule, working on, just working the farm and those old pickup trucks with all the vegetables on the back. Those photographs was priceless. As I picture them in my mind, the best thing I can do is maybe draw it or paint it. But those are just, and I'm talking about the 60s and the 70s in my period. Mhm.
Yes, ma'am. If you could go back to that last slide, I just wanted to point something out. A lot of the stuff on this farm has just overall been trial and error. When you talk about people who have actually never worked on a farm this large scale with this many different components all at one time, a lot of things are trial and error. In this picture, you can see a barn in the back. That barn was not always there. That eventually had to hit somebody across the noggin and say, "We got to build a barn."
Mhm.
Um, to the left of this photo, there's also a pond there. Um, we have three ponds. We have, I would say, five different paddocks, five different pastures to rotate. And
Mhm.
not only does that serve the cattle, that also serves the sheep. The sheep like to rotate as well. So I would say over the course of the last 4 years, a lot of things have improved, a lot of things have changed because we've seen what hasn't worked. And I would
Mhm.
say as a farmer, once you once you just kind of put your foot out there and try and see what works and what doesn't work, going into the future, you'll have a pretty book brain handbook of what
Yeah.
can do and what can work.
Yeah, I was thinking about what your uncle Burnell said. He said that they did learn, trial and error, and that's just the way it is because even in my home gardening, it's the same, trial and error. But it helps to attend seminars, read books. There's a lot of tutorials. Just see what other people who are in that industry have to say as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, this is some of the hibiscus tea plants. Is this from the plants that was growing on the farm?
Yes, ma'am. This is from our hibiscus plants that we grow. We try to grow it every year. We might have some hiccups some years, but with those plants, we sell it after we dry it. We either
Mhm.
sell the dried leaves for tea. Most people like that. We also make our own tea with a hint of honey and a hint of orange juice, not like actual orange juice, but from the oranges. And
Yes,
we sell this tea. Most people like it. It helps with high blood pressure. It also helps with diabetic reasons, and also, in my opinion, I think it's a good source of fiber. So other people might agree with that, but we sell that. We also sell hibiscus jelly. I like the jelly personally. It kind of tastes just like grape and strawberry
mhm,
combined, but
really.
we started
And now
developing
I
that.
know on Wednesdays they are at the market in St. Helena in front of the library. Are they still there?
Yes, ma'am. We'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my best to be there tomorrow because I haven't been there in a while. But I know that they have a lot of butterfly garden.
Yes, ma'am. We try to grow our own flowers. Um, this has been a summer that they've been blooming, and we've been picking some. I haven't seen the flowers grow that nice in a long time.
Really, really. Well, I tell you, when I visit her garden, it inspired me to come back and do the same. So I planted this year for the very first time sunflowers. And I can't tell you how excited I was when the sunflowers bloomed. But I also thought about Eve and I thought about Wanda and your mother Michelle, because it's so much that the women add to the farm as well. Like your mom, she's an artist and she incorporate art in her garden, painted the chicken coop, the mobile
Yes,
chicken
ma'am.
coop. So that's very creative and it's important. It makes a statement on its own.
Yeah. Here we have one of our little goats. We have one of our Southern University employees. I think he was helping out with the JADcation summer camp program, but
Uh-huh.
that's him holding one of our smaller goats. The goats are pretty friendly, even though they're still pretty skittish of human. They're pretty friendly overall.
Yeah.
The St. Helena Farmers Market, we have that every Friday as well at the corner of, I can't think of the road, but it's at the corner of the sheriff's office and um, I believe the hospital.
Yeah, directly across the street too from the old jail. The old jail, and then you're right, on the side of the hospital. So if anybody want fresh produce and beautiful and tasty, and there's all types of things there because the last time I was there, I purchased some homemade soap from the lady that makes the soap in
Oh yeah,
Town, Mississippi. Oh my goodness. I can't wait. It is, it's so natural and so, it's just great. That's all I can say. Mhm. So there's a lot of educational forum tours that you all have done this year, 2023.
yes, ma'am.
Wonderful.
We try to one more time.
I know the kids are enjoying it because
Oh
every
yeah,
time and because of technology, we can see exactly what you all are doing because somebody is always going live. We always, have an opportunity to see all the children that's enjoying themselves, not even paying attention to any of the heat. They just enjoying themselves.
yeah,
I remember you coming out to this day, and I'm really happy to say, Nicholas, that now the Angles Cattle Community Organization is a nonprofit organization. So
okay,
they will be contacting you to come and speak on August the 12th. As soon as they make the calendar of events for that day, they will be in contact with you. But we want to thank you for coming out to their first educational event on farming.
Most definitely.
Just some photographs I pulled from the livestock show. That was my very first time ever attending a Southern University livestock show. And I learned so much. Just one of the things that I really appreciate a lot was a lot of the youth was very engaged. And one thing I want to say, Nicholas, I did not see one child with a cell phone in their hand. They had their
Nah.
cows, whatever animals it was. They was just really excited with their cowboy boots on. Some of them had their cowboy hats on, and you couldn't tell them that they was not cowboys and cowgirls. And they took that very serious.
One thing I've noticed, no, despite gender, despite race, a lot of
Hmm.
kids, when they see livestock animals, they immediately just get interested.
Yeah, they don't. I was very happy just to see that because most of them, I don't know what they call them, but there was mentors or whatever it was that was teaching and guiding them, and they was paying close attention. And you're right, it was girls and boys.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. This is just a board member for the Angus Cattle Community Farmers Association. So they're very excited. I just want to put that in there. And okay, so you have something you want to share with me?
Yes, ma'am. I have a small presentation.
Okay, it's all for you now.
All right. Are you able to pull that up? Because I don't think I can share my screen from here.
Did you send it to me by email?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, you would have to give me a minute just to pull it up for you. But in the
All right.
meantime, just share some information with us.
Okay. I'll just give a background about myself. I'm originally
Yes.
from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Like I said, I have a dad from Louisiana, from Greensburg, and a mom from Missouri. And so when you put that together, I don't know, it's just you get this city boy in this country atmosphere. It's just a lot to process. But I enjoy the country. I enjoy a whole lot about Greensburg. It's a lot different than where I came from, but I really do. It really does feel like home. I have a bachelor's degree in animal science, and so I like to be more with livestock than plants, but I have a pretty good education about plants as well, and so I like to help out with that. I did an internship with NRCS, and so when the agency is talking about their programs and their rates and all this, I have a good idea of what they're talking about. I'm a member of Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated. We like to do many things in the community, such as help the youth about how to be better citizens when they grow up, and also um, financial literacy as well. And so I try to incorporate my fraternity with some of the programs and events I do with agriculture, because most of my frat brothers
Mhm.
are ag majors. One thing I enjoy doing on a day-to-day basis is just simply being in the community with the children, being with the kids, and just showing them, how important agriculture is. When I go to these schools and I talk to these students for some events, their faces just light up when I pull out a rabbit or I show them a goat or something like that, and it's just always a whole lot of fun. I also like working with most of the older farmers in the community. They've been there much longer than my families, and so when they tell me about the different things going on at their farm, I like to hear about it.
Mhm. So you travel to different farms and just tour those farms as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I
The
also
last
try to,
the last tour I went to was Mr. Warner Hall,
yeah,
his farm. That was the last one I took this because it's been extremely hot this year. And
yeah,
so that heat wave really just said to me, okay, I know I love farming, but I can't make this one. But I do have your PowerPoint up whenever you're ready for it, just call for it. Hmm.
okay. I also for the Southern Ag Center, we like to also visit other universities and visit other ranches and farms outside of Louisiana just to
Hmm.
see what they have to offer and bring back ideas down here. One most recently farm visit we went to was Virginia State University, and they had a beautiful farm, and it was everything from hydroponics to aquaponics to cattle to um, high tunnels, just about 20 of them, high tunnel greenhouses, and it was just so many, and I just would see how they would grow blueberries and raspberries and strawberries, and at the same time have ponds and ponds and ponds of fish. And so we try to just take a lot of ideas that they have and just see what we can have work down here in Louisiana.
How many acres was they farming?
I think it was about 250. Everything was
That's
so organized. It was
yes,
beautiful.
yes, yes. That's organization means a lot to me, and even with my garden is to be, very organized with it. One thing I want to say before we go into your presentation, my blueberries didn't do well at all this season, and I was told by other people that some of their blueberries and citrus fruit did not do well. And some people say it could have been with this last frost that we had before the springtime. It really, I 17 years my tree, my bushes always bloom, but this year the birds got what was left, but that it really didn't do well. My pear tree didn't do not one pear this year. So that was totally new. So it made me think about, sometime global warming to see, you know,
Oh
if
yeah.
this is really having a tremendous effect upon, your crops.
Going forward, agriculture will change
Mhm.
tremendously given just the global temperatures. I think they said the last couple of days, like the hottest days in the whole world in like centuries. And so with the rise in climate change and just newer technologies, things are going to change. And so what I can do for like the biggest thing I can do is just help further the future, help get us there, and just like bring other people along because the youth are the future and they'll be the future farmers. But by that time, I don't think it'll be traditional anymore. I mean, I think we're already moving out of traditional now. And so one thing I can do, I can say is just try to stay above the curve, stay ahead of the curve.
Your dad and your uncle, they always talk about the food desert. And a lot of people do not equate that to rural communities. They just think that, fresh vegetables is like really accessible. But
Yeah.
sometimes when there's only one supermarket in a community, that can be very, challenging to get healthy food. So the farmers are certainly appreciated here, it's a great
Yes.
appreciation for them.
I always tell people to ask themselves, if another pandemic comes tomorrow, how are you gonna live? If the supermarket, if Greensboro Market just shuts down tomorrow, what are you gonna do?
And I've seen communities like that. But I do want to ask this question because it's all about nurturing our roots here. Have you talked to your father, your uncles about their dad and their grandfather who was a farmer? Have they shared any information about your ancestors as farmers?
I get stories. I wouldn't say we ever sit down and go in depth, but I get stories about how my grandfather was good with money, never had any credit, never had any credit, but was good with money, and he wasn't able to be where my dad and my uncles are today, but he showed them the importance of a seed and what it can do for them. And I would say that's probably one of the most important things that he told my dad and my uncles, just about the roots, about the seeds, about, you know, how that's important. And I say that seeds are very important because when you strip the world of seeds, then you have chaos.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
so I would,
that's very important what you just said because so many times people want seedless watermelons, seedless
yeah,
grapes, and they really have no idea how important the seed is because that's where a lot of the energy come from, and it cannot reproduce without the seed. And so that's forcing people to buy. But I do not like to buy anything without a seed. A watermelon just doesn't
yeah,
look right without the seeds. I mean,
nah,
oranges doesn't look right without the seed. There's something
no.
not right with that.
I
So
think it's
you're
more of
right.
it might be a mental thing. It might make people think, there's no seeds and where to grow from because a lot of that stuff does grow in labs. But I would just say the most important thing that the world has to offer is seeds, and when you take that away, then everything just breaks down and breaks loose.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, so you ready for your PowerPoint?
Yes, ma'am.
I can bring it on up right now.
All right. So here's just my information, my contact information. My name is Nicholas Muse, and I work as an assistant area agent for the Southern University Ag Center. My email is Nicholas_Muse at suagcenter.com. And anyone feel free to shoot me an email or just want to have a conversation about agriculture. I'm free 100% of the time. That's also my phone number. I like to use my personal phone number. I can definitely get back to you quicker on that, and I'll probably give you a call from that. That's 770-560-5127.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Not a long presentation, but I just wanted to share a couple of special pictures for me. These are a couple right here when I was helping replant some pots in front of the courthouse and also near the farmers market. Some of the people came out in the community, and some of the 4-H members came out, and we helped them plant some beautiful flowers in
That's
front of the courthouse and
in Green
behind the
in
courthouse.
St. Helena. Is that the
Yes, ma'am, in
courthouse in
St.
Green?
Helena.
That's great. Mm-hmm.
And if you go out there, you should still see those. We planted those back in March. I try to water those occasionally. I try to water those about every other week when it's too hot and it just doesn't rain. And so
Mm-hmm.
you should see those if you ever go around there. We have some really nice plants by the farmers market, but those big 18 wheelers that like to park there at night, they just knock them all over.
Oh yeah.
Right here, you'll see me helping with the JADcation. This is just one of the camps I helped out with this summer. We were actually making container gardens, and the students were putting together the whole container. It required
Mm-hmm.
some bolts and some nuts and some screws, and so they actually did all the work. I just kind of made sure they weren't trying to be stingy and taking from each other and make sure everyone got a turn, but they actually did everything themselves. That's also
And
my supervisor, Miss Augustine.
it's so many lessons in this, you know. It's one, agriculture, two, working collectively together, and three, learn about tools and what should be utilized. So there's so many life skills that's incorporated just in this one lesson.
Hmm. Teamwork is definitely the best way to do it, to do farming.
Mm-hmm.
In this picture, this was actually a farm tour that we did. It was called Boys Day. We did one for the girls. It was just youth girls, and this was for the youth boys in the community. And so they came to the Muse farm, and they had an entire farm tour. They had a blast, and you know how boys are. This is me giving a demonstration about gardening, how you can just simply garden at your house. And so I had styrofoam cups with holes poked around the bottom of them. I
Mm-hmm.
filled them with soil, and they each put, I think, about 3 beetroot seeds in it. And so they took that home, and hopefully they've been watering it since. I doubt it, but that was one thing that I really found fun to do, and they were so attentive. Every time we saw a new animal, or every time we got to a new stop, they were just so attentive and wanted to learn and just wanted to touch it and just feel it and all that.
Because that would be, in some cases, the first time a child have ever been on a farm.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, they eat the food and vegetables every day without making the connections to, this is how, this is where it come from. This is the growth of it. I remember when I went to one of the farm days there, the children were so fascinated with the butterfly garden. I
Yes.
was fascinated with it just to see all the beautiful butterflies that it attract. The children was really excited, really happy to see that. Would this conclude your presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Those are just some of my most important pictures I like to share. A lot of photos don't really have me in them, but those are the ones I would like to just show everyone just how it's important.
Now, one question I have for you, I know during this summer, I would say, guesstimate that about 500 children you all saw this summer so far on the farm,
Yes,
or
ma'am.
would you say 500 or more?
Yes, ma'am. I would
Was it
say Ma'am.
Was it other children? Was it children from different areas, not just St. Helena and Tangipahoa?
Yes, ma'am. At the Muse Farm, I think we did two field trips for students from a school in Walker. We
Mhm.
did the JAG students. We did Boys Day and Girls Day. We did a couple other personal tours, and I think we did another school. I can't think of the name. My mom has it, but I think the most important thing about having those younger children see all that is because kids don't forget
Mm,
anything. And so when they see those farm animals and they see the garden and see what's growing, it just lets them know that all this is real, all this is where it comes from, all this is, what you see in the grocery store. It doesn't just poof, it's not just magic, it takes
mm,
time.
mhm. And did they see the chickens?
Oh yeah, I would grab a chicken and then see who would want to hold it, and some were a
Mhm,
little scared, but some like to hold it.
mhm. What about the eggs? Did they see any of the fresh eggs from the chickens?
No, we haven't been able to get eggs in a long time.
Mhm,
Well, I take that back. I haven't been able to see any eggs. My dad might have collected them all that day, but
mhm.
when I go out there, I might go out there a little too late, but I don't see any. I
Yeah,
think my
yeah.
dad collects them.
I have three laying hens, and I can't keep up with the production of those three girls. I mean, I'm a lot of fresh eggs, then I can share them with other people. But my nieces and my family, especially kids, they're always fascinated to go out to the chicken coop, look at the chickens, and look at the eggs. And I try to leave one or two in there so when they come, they can open it up and get it themselves.
Yeah.
When they can have that little connection. Yeah.
When I go out there in the evening, I might see about 5 or 6 brown eggs, but it's never like a whole lot at one time.
hmm Did any of the children ask the questions about wildlife like coyotes and other animals that you have to protect your flock from?
No, they actually don't ask about that. They always ask, why do you have a family of donkeys? And so we have to just explain that those are top of the food chain out here. Donkeys will scare away whatever predators that are around the cows. And so they always ask the same thing, why do y'all have donkeys?
That was something that your Uncle Burnell educated me. He said that the donkey, they had just purchased one of those. They had two, and he said, yeah, they will keep away the coyotes or something like that. Those animals. So that was really good. Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
you are so young to be involved, and I understand, and I can really appreciate many youth getting involved because with technology, it's very important to document the process as well.
Yes.
So are you using any of the students from Southern University to come out and document it, make short films about the farm life?
Yes, ma'am. I try to incorporate my classmates because going through school we were pretty much all we had, but I try to ask those students who don't, live on a family farm to come get your hands on, come get an experience because it's very different learning from a textbook and doing it hands on. And when I
Mm,
was coming through school between COVID and this, that, and the third, there wasn't much hands on. So I try to tell my friends and my classmates, hey guys, come out here. And they've came out before and they've really appreciated actually getting that hands-on feel of just a cattle, a sheep, a goat. But I try to get some to video and to take pictures. I mostly take my own videos and pictures and
uh-huh.
try to upload those onto the family farm Instagram. But as for record keeping, I keep that. My dad keeps that, and my dad
Mhm.
keeps the records of just all the cattle, all the sheep, all the animals. If one
Uh-huh.
goes lost, he has to note that. If one is born, he has to note that.
I want to show you something that I did. Give me 1 minute. Sorry about that. I want to
Okay.
show you. I just wish that I would have had more time um, to document some of those older farmers, which I did. And so at this point, I'm trying to incorporate, uh, save their stories, save these testimonies, because it's so important. Give me a minute, Nicholas. Let me pull that up.
Okay.
But you can keep talking.
I think it kind of blows people's minds when they hear that I work on a farm, I live on a farm, because people think farming is such an old thing to do, but it's not.
Hmm. Okay, let me just show you just a little bit of this.
I'm not able to see it on my screen.
Talk about the old times, how we used to pick the strawberries, and now we're here to be able to enjoy. I re- uh, I can recall a few that I know of. One was James Elliott. He was a popular community leader here in Ponchatoula. Otha Boyd and Henry Jefferson, Levi Harris. But their product was when they grew it, it was sold before it was planted. People come place their order. I want so many bushels of this. Well, my grandfather Charles Temple bought to purchase this land in 1921. He farmed the land. Um, then my daddy come along. He farmed 10 or 11 acres. That's in co-op right now. They got on record in co-op for farming land, about 10 acres here. It
I
has
just
always
wanted
been
to share
farmland
that
up
with you
until
because that's what I'm spending my time doing, trying to collect those oral histories and also to look at some of the old tools that they used to use,
Yes.
because, in some museums you go and you see all the old tools that the farmers used to use and some of the old almanacs, some of the things that we can learn from them, although we are adding new things on, but to look at what could we learn from the past,
Yes.
documenting it, because a lot of those farmers came along during a time where, a lot of the black farmers, they was discriminated against, they did not get the loans, and so a lot of them lost their land. So I think the conversation that we're having about farming also bring us back to land, how important it is to to maintain, to preserve, to secure the family land. That's very important.
Yes, ma'am. It's very important just to have land in your name overall. My Uncle Alan likes to say this same thing. They could print more money, but they can't make more land. And so they have land auctions out here in St. Helena. I think they have it every year in May. I can't think of the exact date, but if you can find one for anyone listening, if you can find one in your parish, it's very important to own land. I would say you can do whatever you want with it once it's yours. And it's also important to just to keep that up. After your family is deceased, it's very important to keep a strong hold on that because if you don't, someone can come and take that land.
That is so true. And I think that what we need to do a better job at as the uh, older people in the family is to talk about that land with you all, talk about the legal description, where the land is located, whose name the land is in. Is it tax? Is it homestead exempt? Whatever it is, I just think that those business discussions need to be held because, believe it or not, a lot of times people want to come back home. They want to
Yeah,
come back home to their roots. I remember one of your uncles saying, I think it was your dad. They never thought. Somebody said they never thought they would come back home and start farming. Was it your uncle
probably
Mitty? One of
probably
the
was my dad.
yeah, yeah. And look at him now. And now you are another generation coming behind your dad, and there's so much that you know take advantage of all the knowledge that they share with you, all of your uncles, because you're really truly blessed to have a wealth of information, and like you say, they're learning as they go, but they sharing
Yeah,
with you.
and I
you know
and
they
I try
share.
to appreciate every second of it, and it gets funny at times. when I was in school, I would look over and see my dad watching a YouTube video on how to do this, and then I which made me think like someone with a whole computer science degree, someone with a whole engineering degree, just for them to get educated and inclined in agriculture just that quick is insane. But I see the effort that they put in, and I try to absorb every second of it, especially when I'm out there with them.
And something else too that I noticed with your family is how they work together collectively as a family. That is key to see all the brothers, their wives, nieces and nephews, sister, come together and support each other, because the garden, what's on the farm feeds everybody, not just one
Yeah,
household. So there's a
yeah.
vested interest for everyone.
I love collaborative work. I love teamwork, and I love working together. I see if one person can put in 110% and do a great job, imagine 10 people. And that's just what I like to let everybody know. When you have just people in this state working and people in this city and people on the farm and just all these collective efforts, it all just works together.
I watched this past early spring when your mom will wake up early in the morning and go out there and take care of the goats. And one of the things that she said, they still have to eat 7 days a week. You know,
Yeah.
the job has to be done. So it's really good. And I think everybody have found their niche in it. It looked like
Yes.
everybody have
Yeah.
found what they enjoy doing.
Yes. And that's important as well. It's good to see that everyone has like their niche, their calling of what
Mm.
they can bring to the farm.
And that's beautiful because I know my grandkids, they help to build the chicken coop. They help to build so much. And they help to work in the garden as well. So that was really nice. They help to work in the garden. Um, they help to harvest. And now I think it's time for us to talk about preserving because that's just as important too.
Yes.
The process now you've planted, you done grew the produce. Now it's harvest time, and now you need to look at preservations and preserving for the
Definitely.
fall. I enjoy watching a lot of off the grid shows, because I learned a lot. I learned a lot from just being around your family, the Sharky farm where the lady has the worms case. Yeah, that was a lot. Mr. Warner Hall, all of these farmers, um, and I was really happy to see earlier this year that Craig Coleman recognized some of the 70 plus farmers
Yeah.
who have been doing this for a long time. And one of the persons that Mr. Quincy Walker have you met Mr. Quincy Walker?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, he planted all his sugar cane, and not to mention the Womack brothers who was making the syrup. That was really um,
Yeah.
good to see and good to document as well. Now, do you find that I know in St. Helena you may find more farms or more people doing the work? What about in Tangipahoa Parish? Are you making a connection to a lot of farmers here in Tangipahoa?
Um, I will honestly say not as much as Saint Helena. I will say
Mhm,
maybe given time, um, I will find a bigger connection in Tangipahoa. Just at the moment, no. I've been trying to get a well connection to everyone in Saint Helena at the moment.
mhm,
But as
mhm,
time press goes on, I will in Tangipahoa.
mhm. There is not a lot of farmers in Tangipahoa.
When I think about it, I can't imagine it. But I've driven through Independence and Tickfaw and Amite, and it's not as rural in my opinion as St.
Mhm,
Helena overall. You have Hammond,
that's
you have
right.
Amite, and so it's not as rural. But I know there's still some people with some acres out there. I just gotta find them.
Yeah, especially on the northern end of Tangipahoa and Kentwood in that area,
Yeah,
Tangipahoa. And I think making a connection with Ricky Broomfield and Craig Coleman, they would be the ones that would really be able to direct you as to where. And then also too, the farmers market is coming up in Kentwood this weekend, and so that may be something that you really need to visit to see who's the beekeepers,
Yes,
because
ma'am.
there is a lot of people here that grow their own beehives, and have that fresh organic honey. So
Yeah.
I think if you really want to make a connection, there are some farmers that come out and participate in the market, the Kentwood market, and it's this coming Saturday.
I need to definitely go check that out. Hopefully, I can connect with some people, let them know who I am, and get to know who they are.
Yes, yes, because there's a lot of people that is preserving, because they sell their goods, just like there in St. Helena. One of the people who I really love to just see her whole establishment is Jill, the lady that has all the preserves, jellies, and all the. Have you
Yeah.
seen her yet? Yeah, I mean, and one thing I do want to say too, the presentation is just as nice.
Oh
Everybody
yes.
take pride in setting up their produce or their yeah. So, anything else you want to share with us?
I would just say, like you said, with the presentation, I've noticed a lot of farmers they when they have something to sell, it's always looking in the best presentation possible. When you come to their farm, everything's always organized and everything's always safe and in good standing. So I would say the farmers out in St. Louis Parish are actually doing a really good job, and I gotta say that.
And when we think about culture and agriculture, as much as we don't want to think that it can be a dying necessity, that's not an art. Uh, I basically see that a lot in Tangipahoa Parish because it's the parish where I lived, although my roots is tied into St. Helena as well. But a lot of farmers, they didn't have anyone to take over when they passed away or got up in age where they couldn't do it anymore. And so a lot of family members even lost a lot of the land that their
Yeah,
ancestors once owned. So I do see it dying off in Tangipahoa Parish more than I would like to, to see that, but it is. It is.
I've noticed one thing from now until the end of time, farming will never go away. And so, whenever I get older, I still want to make sure the farm is in good standing and the upkeep of it is to perfection, and just make sure that continues, that tradition continues. Hopefully, add some acres to it, add some horses, add something else, add something new to it.
Hmm. Yeah, like I said, I saw that transition with me. I can recall, I can tell you, coming from um, the lineage of farmers, I only know one person in my family today that is planning anything. There may be one or two family members have a personal garden. So what I try to do is share my garden, my photographs, my process online to encourage other people to want to grow. Because
Yeah,
these days you're very afraid of all the chemicals that
yeah,
is put on the produce. And I have to say this, I don't use any chemicals.
no,
I don't use anything. I don't even use anything to keep the bugs off, because I haven't really um I tried to plant natural things, the
yeah,
marigolds and all those things that would keep the bugs away, and invite those good bugs, those bugs that would not be harmful to the plant. And so far as well, this is my first year planting corn, and I can't wait to harvest. I think probably by the end of this week, I'll be
yeah.
pulling up my first stalks.
Okay, okay, that's good.
Yeah, yeah,
Since
yeah,
since I've gotten out of school, I've learned so much more about just natural remedies that you can put on your plants other than chemicals.
yeah.
Thanks to the Starkies, I learned more about manure and urine
Mhm.
that can help grow and help better
The
your
rapeseed
pasture.
manure. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that, and also they collect the rabbit urine, too. They
Yeah.
use that as well, So everything has a purpose, and everything have a place, and I'm just so happy that I have farming in my DNA.
Me too.
You know, I'm very happy because there's nothing like a tomato that you eat out your garden. It just
Nah.
tastes so juicy and so. I mean, now I can see why my great uncles used to just pick things out the garden and just eat it. They wouldn't even go inside for lunch. They would just snack on green beans, whatever it is. And I'm like that in my garden with my herbs. You know, I'm out in the yard. I'm chewing on some mint, some basil, things like that. So now I'm trying to set up a space in my home, a dry room where I can go ahead and start naturally drying out my herbs without dehydration, putting the heat to it.
Hmm.
So I do have a couple of announcements I want to make before we leave. Um, I want to announce that, yeah, I'm back on now. I want to invite you to come and listen to those researchers who have researched their ancestors who was homesteaders in the state of Florida. Their family owned land. I want to hear about the land. I want to hear where they do, where they grow, and so my special guest next week will come on to share their family history, the Black homesteaders in Florida, and what did they find? And they're going to share that information with us. Also, on July the 19th, we're going to be talking about something that's very important. When we think about nurturing our roots and our family, we got to go back and talk about some things. It's time to talk about respect and disrespect, morals and values in our community because something is terribly wrong and it's going spiral in a fast way. I know everybody been talking about Essence Festival, the things that was going on there. So join these three men, leaders in the community, as they share what could we do to get back on track to help self-respect in a way that we should, so that the young people who coming up behind us will understand it's not okay to be disrespectful, not to yourself and not to others, not to your elders, not to your community. We got to raise the standards up again and we got to start talking about these things. My favorite slogan is silence is consent. When we say nothing, we're consenting to those things that we find to be troublesome in our community. So next week, we're going to have a powerhouse of conversations. I welcome you to join us in the chat room. We want to hear what you have to say. We have to start talking about these things because we're seeing a lot of disrespect in our community. And I think we all inside of seeing it with children, young girls, they want to grow up so fast. They don't really understand. You're going to be an adult. Just wait your turn. And when it's your turn, you're going to wish that you can go back and be a child again. So let's talk about it. It's time. It is time. Nicholas, I want to thank you for sharing this wealth of information. I am so proud of you. And that if there's anything that Nurturing Our Roots can do to help you further your agenda, please don't hesitate to email me or text me and say, you know what, Dr. Rail, I want to come back on. I got something to share. If there's an event that's coming up and you want to promote it in the community, we're that venue that you can use to get this information out because I see what you and your family is doing in the communities.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for being a guest right here on Nurturing Our Roots. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. It feels good to be back. But once again, it's all about nurturing our roots. And it is about family. But we're talking about, I do know after talking with Nicholas' uncles that he come from a long line of farmers right there in St. Helena, over from East Feliciana to St. Helena. And today if their ancestors can see them, they would be so proud of what the Muse family, and I'm gonna say the Muse family because that's what it took. It took the family, So I just want to say I am so proud of you, Nicholas, and keep up the good work. Thank you all for joining us right here on Nurturing Our Roots. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you so much.